Welcome back to We Love This Book. Today we have got Johanna Basford with us. So Johanna is the illustrator of the beautiful Enchanted Forest, which is an adult colouring in book.
It is, yes.
And your previous book was called Secret Garden.
Mm-hmm.
And when was that one out?
Secret Garden was out 2 years ago now.
Okay. And it kind of became a bit of a thing, didn't it? This
did.
whole adult colouring in thing. So, first of all, I was just wondering where did the idea come from?
Well, I'm a commercial illustrator by trade, and all my work is monochrome, black and white hand drawn, and for years my clients have been saying, we would love to colour in your pictures. Okay. And then when Lawrence King, my publishers, approached me about doing a colouring book, they actually commissioned a children's book. Okay. So I said, I'd actually like to do a grown-up colouring in book. And they were a little bit quiet. I was like, this could be a thing. Mm-hmm. So I did 5 drawings, sent them in and said, what do you think? I think people would like to do this. And they came back and said, yeah, let's do it.
How long does it take you to create a book like that?
Well, Secret Garden took 9 months because I was working commercially at the same time. Enchanted Forest I focused on a bit more, so you can do it in about 4 months. I draw by hand, so everything's hand drawn in pencil, and then I redraw in ink, and then I use the computer at the end to sort of polish things off, erase out bits where I've spilt tea, maybe rotate a butterfly here or there, some symmetry. Like, there's an actual paper trail for each book. They're not just all computer files. I have drawers and drawers of pictures and drawings. Okay.
And what is it, do you think? Why do people love them? Why have people embraced sort of growing up colouring in so much?
I think for a few reasons. So it's an analogue activity. You're not looking at a screen and you're not plugged in and sort of distracted by the internet. And so it's a chance to really sit down with some pens and pencils and do something and be quite in flow and sort of caught up in a task. And I guess it's the way I feel when I'm drawing. Like, I'm very much my own bubble and everything else sort of melts away. So it's quite a good way to de-stress. But also it's a bit, there's a nostalgia thing, I guess. So the last time you were colouring in, you probably didn't have a mortgage, you didn't have like a grumpy boss, all that kind of stuff. So it sort of takes you back to more carefree days. And lastly, I think everyone has a bit of a creative spark to them, but you just need the right circumstances to let that flourish. And perhaps sitting down with a blank sheet of paper can be a bit daunting, but a colouring in book, the outline's there, so you just have to bring the colour.
Johanna is now going to teach me how to do a little drawing, which is sort of in the style of the entire Enchanted Forest books. So if you're inspired by what we're doing today, we'd love to see if you have a go at this, or if you've got Johanna's book, send us a photo of your completed picture on Twitter at We Love This Book, and we'd love to see them.
So what we'll do is, I'm going to show you how to draw a sphere of foliage and blossoms, which is like one of my signature style pieces. I draw everything in pen and pencil, so we'll start off drawing it in pencil, and then I use layout paper, which is this really nice, really smooth paper, and it's quite thin, so you can almost trace on it. So I'll draw in pencil, and then we pop it underneath, and I redraw in ink, and you can do the ink.
Okay.
So, draw your circle. I'm going to trace down this cup. This just helps give you an outline for what you're going to fill in. So, I don't really have a plan. I always just start at one side, and it grows quite organically. So, I'll quickly draw in some different shaped leaves. Sometimes you can go out with the outline of the circle, and that makes it look really organic, as if it's like escaping. So I would sketch in outlines, maybe a couple of flowers. That's the pencil outline all done. Now what I used to do was then take my trusty fine liner pens and draw over the top and rub it out. Okay. But that can make it a bit smudgy and dirty, so being the inventive person I am, that you can just rip out this page so it's really thin. and then pop it underneath. And with this paper, you can still see it, but it means that when you redraw in ink, it's super crisp. So I use these pens, a 0.2, a 0.1, and a 0.05 are my favourites.
Okay.
I just pick a bit and start redrawing the outline. But when I draw it in pen, I add more details. So, for example, I'll do these 2 leaves here. And then I'll use a 0.1 to maybe put in some little veins, maybe some polka dots.
To wish I was start on this little flower.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I quite like
the circles, not circular.
But do you know what? I think that's the good thing. I like slightly imperfect circles and wobbly lines. But see, don't you feel really like calm, and it's like a nice way to like spend a bit of time?
I don't know, this evening I'm gonna just go and colour in. So what sort of, you said you do like commercial design, what sort of thing do you do?
So I do illustrations for packaging, book covers, album covers, websites. Yeah, I do the covers for all Joss Starling's novels.
Now you've said that, I can totally see that.
Yeah. I do some of Amy Plum's novels, Die For Me, and a few other ones.
Do you enjoy doing books?
I do, yeah. They're nice in that they're a nice regular format. Like I know what size it's going to be printed at, and I know like a book's familiar, and I can hold it in my hand and I can picture it in the studio and things. So yeah, it's nice.
Do you read the whole book, or do you get given like a brief to sort of sum up the tone?
Sometimes they'll send the full manuscript. Sometimes we're working on the covers before the full manuscript's finished. The author will always see all the sketches at the different stages, so it's quite nice that you get their feedback notes and make sure it's what they imagined as well.
So have you got plans for another book?
I do. I'm working on the 3rd book right now. So it's a bit different. It's going to be large format, so maybe actually the size of this book.
Wow.
20 illustrations printed single side onto cardstock this time, and with a perforated binding so that people can colour in or paint, because it's a heavier stock this time, the illustrations, and then remove them. So it's like a really nice way to make a finished product almost, or something that you can frame and put in your home, as opposed to having them all contained within the book. And because we've got that bigger format, it means the detail can be even more intricate and tiny. Sometimes there's issues with, well, it would be nice to have it more detailed in the books, but because of the scale, you just wouldn't be able to colour that in. So it's going to be really exciting. It's like a step forward and something a bit different from the first 2 books.
Yeah. And what do you think the best things to colour in with? Because they are quite intricate sometimes for that kind of chunkier.
Yeah, I mean,
implements.
Pens and pencils would be your 2 options. I wouldn't use sort of watercolour paints or paints in the book, just because for that kind of thing you really need a heavier paper quality.
Sure.
Getting a bit geeky here, but you need a paper that's going to absorb the liquid. So if you're using pens or pencils, I really like Staedtler or Derwent pencils. They've got, this is really geeky, but they've got a really intense lead, which means the colours are bold and quite chalky. But also that you can sharpen them to a good point and do sort of really nice blended colours with them. If you're using pens, there's a pack called Staedtler Pigment Tri-Plus Liners, and they just have really bold, vibrant colours. The ink is really dense again and opaque. And the colours, I wouldn't usually say the colours pop, but that's what they do. They're really vibrant. And they have this awesome fibre tip nib, which means that you can get in and really colour in small details. Other people really like gel pens. We've been speaking about them a lot recently. So some people go with the glitter gel pens, which has a different effect. And some people will use the scented ones, which you may remember from being at school.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, everyone
that
has
was
a
like
scented pen.
how cool you are is how many scented gel pens you have.
But another thing you can do is just use a black drawing pen, like the ones that I use to do all the illustrations, and keep it all monochrome. So instead of colouring, you would just add more and more layers of detail.
Do you have a favourite thing to draw?
I guess I used to really like drawing butterflies, just because I found them really beautiful. I really can't draw people that well. I don't do portraiture, I can't draw hands. So when people say, oh, I can't draw, I think everyone has like 1 or 2 things that they just can't draw, but you just need to work around that. The books are both inspired by Broddick Castle Gardens in the Isle of Arran.
Okay.
Because my grandfather was the head gardener there, and when he passed away I inherited his botanical library, his references.
Ah, okay.
So instead of looking maybe online or in the same places that everyone else doing this kind of illustration might look, I looked at his books and I sort of make these inky hybrid plants where maybe I'll take a flower from one plant and a petal from another and a leaf from a third and join them all together to make a new type of plant.
Hopefully you've been inspired by Johanna's completely beautiful drawings. As we said, we'd love to see if you colour in any of the books or you've done any drawings of your own, so do send them to us on Twitter. So Johanna's book, Enchanted Forest, it's out now.
Yes.
And thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.